The ocean supports all life on Earth, every creature, including us. Take the Serengeti plains of Africa. Seasonal rains, born in the ocean, generate an explosion of grass. The herbivores, plant eaters, follow the food, migrating. Predators hunt them, taking out the old and the slow. They keep the ecosystem healthy and vital. It's the same in the Pacific Ocean. The species are different, with fins, not feet. In schools, not herds. Spring winds cause the California Current, a vast underwater river, to begin pushing cold, nutrient-rich waters towards the surface. Here, too, predators watch and hunt along this great migration route. It's one of the sharkiest places on Earth. This almost invisible migration is being revealed by Stanford University's world-renowned scientist, Dr. Barbara Block.
Here we are flying above the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Spectacular view today, and we've been studying this region for some time, and what we've learned from the tagging is that the largest migration on Earth occurs beneath the sea here.
The California Current is a river within an ocean. Each spring, it generates an explosion of life. North winds force warm surface waters to the west. Cold nutrient waters push up to fill the void. Plankton blooms feed vast schools of anchovies and sardines. They become fuel for predators. Blue and humpback whales arrive first. Elephant seals swim thousands of miles from North Pacific and subpolar seas to breed and molt. They haul out beside even larger colonies of sea lions. These pinnipeds draw the white sharks. Fewer than 300 white sharks swim to California from 2 mysterious offshore habitats. The waters surrounding Hawaii and an unexplored wilderness, the subtropical gyre nicknamed the White Shark Cafe. The sharks are bound for 3 national marine sanctuaries, all within 50 miles of San Francisco: Cordell Bank, the Greater Farallones, and Monterey Bay. For 29 seasons, the white sharks have been met by a team of tireless scientists. Scott Anderson and Dr. Sal Jorgensen of the Monterey Bay Aquarium stake out the Farallon Islands.
Kind of ghost town mentality here. Yeah. Like, if it's empty and you're a shark and you show up, you're kind of like, this is too spooky.
Paul Knive studies Tamala's Point.
Of the sharks that we've seen, and this year we've seen probably around 70. Of those, 75% have been seen in previous years.
Stanford's Dr. Barbara Block and Dr. Taylor Chappell focus on Año Nuevo Island. The scientists are striving to use white sharks to reveal ocean systems vital to human survival.
Keep that out for right now.
We work together, all right?
Okay.
The world's longest white shark field study relies on non-invasive technology to pry secrets from the sea. Since 1987, the team has identified 290 individuals by their distinctive dorsal fins. They have wired the ocean, tagging sharks with transmitters and deploying acoustic receiver buoys. Shark locations and detailed oceanographic data are transmitted up to satellites and down to the scientists. For Taylor, a new shark season means a ton of scientific housekeeping.
This is the best feeling of the year, being back in shark season. It's October, so the weather's still good. Sharks are just coming in. We're optimistic that we're going to have a hot spot at all the locations this year.
It's the first shark season for Stanford graduate student Tim White.
I've never seen a white shark before this season, so it's been a huge, huge excitement. Right here in our own backyard, we've got one of the most amazing systems and amazing animals in the world, so I'm thrilled to study white sharks.
This is the buoy that picked up Scargirl last time she was here, but it's been 4 years and we haven't seen her, so we're hoping this buoy that's going in is going to be the next one to hear her.
Taylor's favorite shark, Scargirl, has been missing for 4 years. With fewer than 300 adult and subadult white sharks in Central California, every animal is precious. A new tool, the cat's camera tag, could reveal the invisible world of the white shark.
Squeeze. Let it go. That's each time you ratchet, it ratchets open a little bit more. So then you get it on the shark, and then that's when you see if you pull the little handle there.
Nice.
And that goes on the shark, and it goes.
So today's tags take a lot more data, and they're actually going to give us video underneath the sea in a way that we've never had before.
And we're hoping that this year, for the first time, this sort of predator-prey and foraging zone around Año is going to be revealed.
Pings from the satellite alert them to a first chance to camera tag a shark and get video from inside the migration.
Yeah, and that shark was last heard exactly 40 minutes ago, along with two other sharks, 6344 and 32537.
This one's fast. Big turn, coming back behind it again. Here we go.
The trick is to lure the shark close to the boat and clamp it to the dorsal fin. Easier said than done. Another predator, the humpback whale, lives in the mysterious world below the surface of Monterey Bay. To see into their habitat, white shark and whale teams are working together, hoping to recruit these top predators to film inside this invisible migration.
The way we attach these tags is pretty simple, basically. Suction cup attached tags, and we just get up close to the whale, just like this.
Centuries of whaling brought humpbacks to the brink of extinction.
Got a whale just ahead of me, John, to my left.
Now they are recovering. Today, camera and computer are harmlessly suction cupped on. The humpback becomes the newest cameraman for the biomechanics lab.
We have front and back-facing cameras, so we get this nice and aligned on the whale, and so we can see directly what's going on above the head of the whale, and also the whale's tail moving back and forth. We also have high-resolution GPS here. We have a light sensor here. And deep inside, in the middle of this tag, we have 3D movement sensors. So we can recreate the three-dimensional trajectory of what those whales are doing underwater.
At the second shark hotspot, the Farallon Island team is also hoping to camera tag a shark. But things are unusually quiet.
I think the cool thing about this site is that the sharks that we've seen this year are like all these old friends, you know, these old sharks that we've known for so long. The first one we saw was Tipfin. He's a little bit shy from the boat. He's very successful. We've seen him take a lot of seals here.
And then Elvis.
25 years.
25 years. It was big.
Yeah.
All scarred up and stuff, but just beautiful. And most of the fin has stayed the same. Top of his fin has a little curl that comes out, looks like Elvis's hair. That's where he gets his name.
Scott and Sal are deeply concerned that something may be wrong. They've only seen 7 white sharks in 2 weeks. In past years, they've often tagged 2 a day. 30 miles southeast at Año Nuevo Island, sharks are beginning to come in. White sharks are strong visual hunters. They go deep and watch for seal silhouettes at the surface, then strike. The seal-shaped decoy uses that behavior to bring the sharks to the boat. It's just indoor-outdoor carpet with a camera attached.
Shark up! Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is a new shark, new shark. Watch out.
Watch out with your decoy.
You've got to gently lure them into research range.
We've got 2 sharks here. One is at the decoy. Don't worry about the other. Run over there, right on that side. So I got a bigger female that looks like over here. I can't tell for sure. I got a smaller one on your left-hand side. The smaller one is the one that's right up at the boat. Come back around.
Getting the tag in the right place at the right time, it's incredibly difficult. You've got a moving shark, and you have a very limited range, a very limited gap on that camera tag on the clamp. So you've got to get it right in the sweet spot, and it has to be low enough down that it doesn't get pulled off when the shark accelerates. So there's a lot of factors that have to come together.
Ah, that was it.
It's a good shark.
Just off California's Año Nuevo Island, a science team is trying to turn white sharks into filmmakers. It's part of the world's longest white shark study. For Barbara Block, it all started in Woods Hole, Massachusetts.
In our white shark program, we're keeping alive a tradition of tagging that goes back almost 40 years now. So when I was a young student working with Dr. Frank Carey of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution.
Dr. Carey was pioneering deployment of acoustic technology on large predatory fish when a crisis struck the shark world.
Something going on. What's going on?
was 1975, and the world's first summer blockbuster was released. Jaws smashed box office records and unleashed in irrational terror the idea that the only good shark was a dead shark. Jaws author, Peter Benchley, was horrified and became a dedicated shark conservationist. He joined forces with Carey on the first scientific expedition to study white sharks in the Atlantic.
This will give us water temperature, the depth of the fish, and his muscle temperature.
He's coming up to the boat. He wants to bite the boat.
Dr. Carey believed white sharks' hunting ability, endurance, and intense bursts of speed were enhanced by being warm-bodied.
Nice place?
Nice place. Terrific. Let's see what his temperature is. It's 23.2. The water is 17 degrees, so the fish is 23. That's a 6-degree difference. That's really warm.
This important revelation was followed by a stream of scientific firsts, including Stan Waterman shooting this first footage of a white shark below American waters. Carey collected biological data as the shark swam for 110 miles over 5 days, showing that electronic tagging was the wave of the future. Barbara Block was Frank's technician. She was inspired and took Carey's pioneering science into the future.
Some 40 years later, with some of the world's most advanced technology that you can put on an animal in the sea, and what we're hoping to get is a lot more of the undersea behavior, what's really happening from the white shark point of view this year.
Paul Conivey is looking for old shark friends at Tamales Point. Unlike Año Nuevo and the Farallones, there are no elephant seal or sea lion colonies here. But there are much smaller harbor seals.
The sharks generally show up here at Tamales August, September, and when we see them for the first time this season, they're really skinny. We see like the 8-9 footers come up to this area based on just like the wounds and the markings on their head and body, are that they really haven't figured out the hunting strategy yet. So that's a shark beeping in right now. So that's 6348. That's a 10-foot male that we tagged this year. Gonna come up and bite it, I think. Yep. I nicknamed him Congress because he doesn't do anything.
Is Tamales where juvenile white sharks learn to hunt harbor seals? There's good action, but some regulars are still overdue.
Our most consistent resident is a shark we call Mr. Burns. He's a shark that's been seen every year since 2006. We haven't seen him yet, which is a little bit concerning, just because he's so consistent.
The mystery of the missing sharks is alarming at the Farallon Islands. Scott and Sal have only tagged 6 sharks in 2 months.
Years when we put out 20 tags, and 5 in one day kind of thing, I don't know.
So it was averaging like 2 tags a day.
The missing include Flat Top, Scar Girl, and Tom Johnson. Barbara and Taylor are worried. And so is the West Coast Regional Director of the National Marine Sanctuaries, Bill Doros.
The last 2 years at Fairlands have been sort of frightening how few sharks there are. We put out 1 tag last year and 2 the year before.
You have to have a baseline and a long-term trend to know what's really going on. No one's going to jump up today and say that white sharks that used to get the farallones are gone. But the white sharks that we've been tracking have not, the last 2 years, made an appearance. It raises the question, where'd they go?
Where'd they go?
You know, it's one of these sharks like Tom Johnson and Flat Top that we follow through almost 30 years that are very consistent, that we haven't seen at all.
It raises the question back at the cafe, what could be happening out there? We started looking with satellite technology that picks up radio signals from ships transiting, Eye in the Sky, and Google's Global Fish Watch.
What we saw was Japanese longline vessels and other longline vessels who are transmitting through AIS to the satellites.
Most of the shark migration is far beyond the 200-mile boundary of American waters. On the high seas, there's no protection and extensive international fishing.
We have a shark.
Right underneath you, Taylor, coming at you straight. Right there. See? Can't tell you what she is, but she's here. Nice shark.
I've never swum in the ocean again.
No, don't worry, you haven't seen anything yet.
Barbara and a community of researchers are on a mission to gain World Heritage designation for this ocean realm and protect it the same way we protect the Serengeti Plains of Africa.
The most heralded land-based conservation example is the Serengeti, and yet almost all of those species that are part of that migration, that enormous land-based migration, they all stay within the Serengeti, 3 or 4 or 5 parks. in Kenya and Tanzania. And here, we've got 3 enormous national marine sanctuaries that protect a comparable area. And yet most of the species that make the migrations here in the Pacific leave this ocean-based Serengeti and travel to other places.
If we could do something like create a World Heritage Site here.
Being a World Heritage Site for this area of Central and Northern California would help tell that story of how this area connects to many other parts of the Pacific.
Six.
6526.
That was Gigi? Oh my God, Gigi's here. Woo!
Gigi's back.
Gigi, one of the missing sharks, has come home at last. She's among the largest white sharks known to science. A massive 19-foot, 4,500-pound breeding female. Her scarred body tells a story of survival in the ocean. Gigi is here to eat high-calorie elephant seals, which Anyu serves up like a fast food restaurant. The elephant seals have migrated halfway across the Pacific to return to this hotspot. The Costa Marine Mammal Lab at UC Santa Cruz has fitted a young seal with a transmitter and camera tag.
It's a he, right?
Yes, it is.
It's been named by our undergraduate volunteer, Steve. Right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. This team from Long Marine Lab has been tagging elephant seals for a number of years, so they're very experienced. So we got together with them in order to get our camera tag onto the back of an elephant seal.
If we carry a little bit lower, it'll be easier.
The camera and transmitter are glued to Steve's fur. They'll drop off when the seal sheds his winter coat. Steve almost immediately faces off with a harbor seal. Steve wins, and we get a first look at an invisible world. It's halfway through shark season, and Taylor keeps striking out with the new camera tags. Today, he does get a consolation prize.
You can see for the first time we actually have a shark when it came up and hit the decoy. One of its teeth came out and stuck in the decoy, stayed there. Yep, go ahead and bring it in, Robbie. And that's significant for us because we can actually pull some DNA, we can pull some blood off of that tooth and find out what shark that was. Wow. Let me make it a little bigger.
DNA from the tooth is another way to identify the shark. A good thing, because getting a camera tag on a shark has been a little like, well, pulling teeth.
This year was really a shakeout, trying to shake out any of the kinks and figure out how to do this. And it's been hard.
Talk about it. You. Shoot me like a man.
Oh.
Here she is. Whoa.
She's coming right to the stern here, right to the stern here. Sal, take that side. Camera.
Okay, I still got it. Right here. Nice shark. Careful, there you go. You got it.
We went the first 2 months of the season without being able to get a tag on. We couldn't get the sharks close enough to the boat. We didn't have the long enough pole to get to them, and it's really been a struggle. Shark up.
Shark's right here.
We really designed this process to be a non-invasive tagging process, but it requires that the animals come close to you. And the idea is that they come within 5 or 6 feet of the boat, and that's when you clamp that tag on. This morning we got on our first camera tag. The caveat about that is that we have to get the camera tag back. still nervous. It was a lot of time and effort to get it out, and it's going to be probably just as much to get it back.
The tag is on an old friend, Heffalump.
We got the first tag on, and within the next week, we had 4 tags on. It was almost like breaking through that ceiling.
All right, good job, Taylor.
Once we really got a sense of what we were doing and how the animals were going to react, how we could put all of our assets together to get the shark to do a specific thing and then to get us in the right place.
Far, watch your line.
Once we got that figured out, it's been like gangbusters.
Nice job, Taylor.
The team is on a camera tagging winning streak.
He's right here, we see him. We got a visual.
Shark up. Different guys.
It's Congress. Paul's do-nothing shark from Tamales has moved down to Año.
Oh, sweetie. We got this, baby. We got this.
Maybe he's ready to graduate from small harbor seals to bigger sea lions.
You want on your side then, right? High five.
Nice. Yeah.
It's December. The migration to the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary is peaking. Squid are spawning 4 miles south of Año Nuevo, around 2 undersea canyons called the Fingers. They're attracting elephant seals, humpback whales, and sea lions. Steve, our elephant seal cameraman, has arrived too. So have humans. Surprisingly, a commercial squid fishery is allowed to take a share of the squid in the sanctuary. Squid are essential food for the creatures hunting here. They may hold the secret of why so much life concentrates on Año. And squid boats don't just catch squid. Could this have happened to Scar Girl? To investigate why a migration from across half the planet comes to one tiny area of the California coast, Barbara has called in Dr. Francisco Chavez in the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute.
Western Flyer, this is Blue Serengeti. Good morning. How's it going over there?
The whales right outside of Moss Landing gave us a spectacular show, picked up some eDNA there, and then started working offshore, and now worked our way back in to Año here. There are hotspots in the ocean that develop, in particular in places where the cold water that is upwelled meets the warm offshore water. And there is a plethora of animals that aggregate and create these very incredible hotspots. And they're very difficult to study, and it requires an ability to use autonomous vehicles to find them, and then use that information to go sample them with ships or other devices.
It's a laser focus on what makes Año such a powerful wildlife magnet.
So we're using these vehicles to first find the hot spots, but then float with them. Start with upwelling water with these new nutrients, and now we've got phytoplankton that bloom there, and we've got zooplankton, bigger animals, fish, foraging fish, all the way up to these top predators, the whales that are eating them.
The team determined that the secret to Año is the 2 underwater canyons that channel nutrient-rich water toward the island. Sea lions go there every day to forage. The white sharks wait to ambush. The team spots bird activity. A shark has bitten a sea lion.
Just watch, keep an eye out for birds as we drift through here. It happens to pop back up.
Big seals and sea lions fight back, so sharks have learned to bite and get clear. He circles while the sea lion bleeds out.
Sharks usually they come up to the carcass and they'll grab it and they'll take it down and they'll swim away. So they don't have hands like we do to hold it while they bite. So they use the friction of the water as they're swimming to hold the carcass while they shake their head.
A lion of the blue Serengeti. Heffalum's camera tag has popped off and is floating out to sea. The team has been searching in rough water for 6 hours.
What do you got there, buddy?
keeps building.
Yeah, butterfly guy. I need put that in the water some time ago.
How's it feel, gentlemen?
That's awesome. So there it is. So now this camera's been on for about 60 hours. That was about to see what's on it.
Okay, so
Taylor takes the camera back to the lab to look at the footage with Stanford grad Natalie Arnoldi.
These tags which have shown up have pulled out all of the video, and then we can cut these videos together and make like a little profile.
Heffalump, a 4,000-pound female, has been the team's research partner for 3 years. But this is her first gig shooting video.
We know that white sharks especially have very good eyesight. The brunt of their ambush is being able to see the surface, see the seals at the surface, so their eyesight is absolutely critical.
She circled the boat, checking out the decoy and the science team. The tag records depth, speed, and acceleration, as well as video.
So what the 3D motion sensor data shows us is this distinct signature when a shark switches on from a cruising, energy-efficient sort of mode of just patrolling to a rocketing to the surface lunge to try and capture its prey. Swimming almost straight up, an increase in the tail beat, a real acceleration in its speed, an impact at the top near the surface.
This one was a miss. The next day, she accelerated to 25 miles an hour, only to miss again. As good as they are, white sharks don't always get their seal. Today, Taylor needs to head north to maintain the Farallon buoy. It's a welcome chance to catch up with Scott.
Yeah, that's amazing. You'd have to get a camera that faces backward to keep an eye on the sharks.
Yeah. With all the cameras facing, they've been turning on during the day mostly, and then we have LEDs on them. So we cycle them on a little bit at night just to see what it's like. What's going on.
Yeah, checking this stuff out. That's pretty neat. So this year at the Farallon, so we're up to at least a dozen individuals, and 2 of them are new to us. Middle notch has that big notch in the middle, then tip fin has that pointed tip.
Gigi. Saw Gigi. She's massive. Actually, we just saw her 2 days ago, and she may have mating scars.
After 2 quiet months, they've finally seen a dozen sharks. Some of the bigger, older sharks have not shown up.
We're not seeing the rest of the
pack.
I mean, we haven't seen Tom Johnson since 2011, right?
Yeah. Paul's starting to worry about Mr. Burns up there at Tamales because he's been there, 6 years in a row, and the most consistent shark from the beginning of the season to the end. But he's either gone somewhere else or something happened to him. It's hard to say. Only time will tell.
Another camera tag is floated up. This one off young Congress. The signal says it's in a northbound current, so Taylor meets up with Sal and his son.
So we're kind of split up. This is Milo.
Milo is part of the next generation of shark researchers. He's learning early.
What are we going to find?
The camera for a shark.
Okay, we're going to listen. Do you hear it? Listen for the signal.
By nightfall, they still haven't found the tag. Milo turns out to be a trooper.
It's something that's far away. Yeah, I got 157 going that way. What about straight out? Okay, let's try that. Yeah! So it sounds like it's coming from that. If you get up to it, we'll reassess and go try it again tomorrow. So that's how it goes. That's why you got to get out when you get signals. You got to go try to find these things because it's never easy. To infinity and beyond.
So we're worried that it was going to get knocked on the rocks, so we came down.
20-foot swell.
It's a 20-foot swell.
Nothing at all? Which is weird because I was picking it up on that. It might be inside.
We're basically just going to have to wait until 3 or 4 days from now and see if it pops up.
After all that,
It was sort of funny walking down the beach because we would find trash or litter, like old plastic. Right when I saw that really bright color, I was like, that's gotta be it.
Thank you, Ranger Molly Baird, for saving the day. So, what was Congress up to at Año? There's no video of an attack, but here he's clearly swimming through a cloud of blood and eating pieces of blubber. Was he trying to steal a kill? The end of the season is coming swiftly, and great news arrives at Tamales Point. It's late December. The plankton blooms off the California coast are shutting down. The humpbacks swim to warmer southern waters. The elephant seals to North Pacific and subpolar seas. The bluefin tuna as far west as Japan. The white sharks will be among the last to leave, heading back to Hawaii and a mysterious cafe in the middle of the Pacific. Then, at the 11th hour, one last visitor appears. Better late than never.
The day before yesterday off Tamales with Paul, this shark came up just like, acted like Mr. Burns because it is him. He's got a new big wound on his face, it's all healed, but that wasn't there last year, and he's lost his acoustic tag, but Paul was getting very concerned that he may not show up this year, but he did, so it makes a 10-year record now for him there. It's pretty incredible.
The science team heads back to the block lab, relishing their rich trove of hard-earned data.
The off-season in front of a computer, as funny as it sounds, is the exciting period, because that's when the real discoveries are made. We'll start to put together our next estimate of population abundance and get through some of the video about what these animals have been doing.
We have over 100 hours underwater on white sharks with accelerometry, with magnetometry, so that'll give us a pitch, with recordings that are visual, so that for the first time, we really get to see the ocean from the white shark's perspective. We get to see it from the elephant seal's perspective, from the humpback whale's perspective, all within a very small area around Año within Monterey National Marine Sanctuary.
Between endless hours of logging footage, Natalie was inspired by her favorite shark.
I had this idea one day when we were out, when we had these big sharks up around the boat interacting with us, to do portraits of the sharks of Año Nuevo. And Gigi is such a big, charismatic animal. We're going to go full life-size portrait.
I'm hopeful about especially the future of white sharks, the future of our oceans, but not because of what I'm doing or what any of the other scientists are doing, but what the capabilities of people that are passionate or interested or excited about the oceans or sharks. So you don't have to be a scientist to affect change.
120 white sharks were identified this season. 74 were from previous years, while 46 new fins were added to the abundance study. But the fins of Scargirl, Flat Top, and Tom Johnson were never seen. Were they lost to natural causes? Killed by humans? Or are they patrolling a yet unknown corridor of their vast Pacific realm? We just don't know, yet.
What our entire program is about is figuring out how do we really see beneath the sea and capture what's not very transparent. How many sharks there are, how many tunas there are, and how do we prevent the poaching that our generation has unleashed upon the oceans that will guarantee that future generations see these great predators.
These white sharks are incredibly beneficial to the ocean. They're incredibly important in this ecosystem. They keep the seals and sea lions in check in this environment. And here we have our ecosystem intact again. We don't want to lose it. This is vital. And I want my son, Milo, to grow up and have this opportunity to see life as it exists.
In February, Gigi and the 300 other white sharks began a perilous swim back to the vast Pacific wilderness. We know where they go, but not why. One day, we will, because Frank Carey's early commitment to scientific excellence and student inspiration lives on. It's a remarkable community of scientists committed to understanding and protecting the greatest migration on Earth across the blue Serengeti.